Good morning. Welcome to Q&A Wednesday with Elisa James. We are streaming live on YouTube and live into the Facebook page today. Now, today is a special day because on Wednesdays, I love answering all the questions that my students and my fans have around the world live. Now, my goal today was to be on air with a lovely young lady from New York who ended up unfortunately not being available at the last minute. So I'm a bit disappointed that we won't be able to do a live coaching session on air because that was my goal this morning. So if you're watching this in Find Your Voice Aspiring Speakers Club, please pop underneath the chat if you would like to be a guest in the future. Let me explain how it works. On Wednesday mornings, I choose or invite anyone who really needs some live coaching but is not yet in a program with me. If you need some live coaching and you're willing to come on air with me live, then I will give you coaching on Wednesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. absolutely free. Yes, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I had the wonderful Neil join me from the Speakers Institute on the Gold Coast. And he's been training for many years and has been in some of my programs, but he's not in a program currently, so he's not a current student. Now, he came on and asked a few questions live, and I absolutely love that because then I can solve people's problems on the spot. So much more fun than being on camera all by myself. So please put up your hand. Be brave. If you are willing to get your own problems solved online, live with me on air, you're going to help so many more people too. Because guaranteed, if you have an issue with public speaking or nerves or singing or whatever it is, somebody else is going to suffer from exactly the same problem. Everywhere around the world, we are human beings. We all experience very similar issues. So nervousness, which is the topic of today, is no new thing. It's been around for thousands of years for a reason. It's to save our life. That's what it's designed for. Let me see. We've got a comment coming in. Hello from Belgium. It's nice to see you. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, you can join this cast live on Wednesday mornings. All you have to do is pop it in the chat underneath the video you're watching right now, and I'll PM you with the details and book you in for another week in the future. So let's jump into the content today. You're watching this on the Voice of Confidence TV and YouTube, and also in Find Your Voice Aspiring Speakers Club inside Facebook. Now, the topic of the day is all about nerves. So this young lady, Amy, wanted to have some answers around how to get over her voice shaking in the very beginning of a presentation. Now, let me explain what shaking is at first. You might think, oh, it's just nerves and I can fix it with my breath. Well, yes and no. Here's the issue. When you have shaking in the larynx, and I used to have this a lot when I was nervous as a singer and as an actor and as a speaker years and years ago, that shaking in the actual larynx means that you have tension. Tension comes from a thought, and a thought is wired because of something that we've experienced in the past. So it is a bit of a mindset game, and I'm going to give you some tangible things to help you get out of that today, okay? When you start to shake, usually there's tension in two places. The tension is in your throat, and the tension is your stomach muscle. Now, let me give you a little example of this. I want you to do this with me, okay? This is live interactive coaching here. So if you have any questions or comments, please pop it under the video and I can answer you while I'm on air. I'm on air for about 15 minutes. When you have tension in two places, it stops the breath immediately. So I want you to do this with me. Tighten your stomach muscle. Just do it with me. Tighten your stomach muscle as though you're going to do a crunch. And what do you notice? Straight away, your throat is tight and your air is stopped and you can't move. So if you try to sing like that, it's really, really hard to sing like that because you've got no air. You've got pressure, absolute pressure and squeeze and choking, but you have no air flow. The bottom line is this with voice. The air needs to flow. Let it flow, let it flow. That's what we're doing all the time. We need to let the air flow. If you're arresting the air with tension in the throat or in the stomach, you're going to have shaking, You're going to have lack of air. You're going to have choking sensation. You might cough. You might get a tickle in your throat. Everything's going to stop. The problem is with this, apart from your voice stopping, is that you get so freaked out in your mind and upset about the whole thing that you can't think and you don't know what you're going to say either. It's completely distracting and a waste of time. So we're going to jump into a solution here. Very interesting topic. Thank you. And good morning. It's lovely to see you here, Ice. Thank you for joining me live. So guys, today it's all about stopping your voice from shaking. So let's dive in. The very first thing we're going to look is about voice control, breathing and shaking. This is what Amy was having trouble with. So very first thing I want you to do is sit up nice and straight. Wherever you are, I want you to sit up nice and straight, and I want you to have your ears over your shoulders over your rib cage. Let me just push this forward a bit so I've got a bit more room. That's it. And then I want you to put your legs at right angles to the ground, and then your feet flat on the ground as well. When you're in this upright position, even if you're standing or sitting, it doesn't really matter. You'll notice that suddenly your whole body can be upright and can breathe and feel more confident and grounded. When you feel more grounded and settled into the ground, you can actually have a lot more power in your body, as though you could stand up, jump, sing, project. You can do anything because you're not protecting yourself in any way and you're not arresting the breath. When you have that open stance, I call it, and a grounded position, because my feet are flat on the floor and my legs are at right angles, it puts me in that position of power, almost like Superman. When you're in that position of power, suddenly, not only do you feel more confident, but you can actually breathe better. And this is the thing. When we get nervous, we hold the breath. And when we hold the breath, we cannot use the voice effectively. It ruins everything. And nobody can pay attention to you if you're talking like that with so much a restriction of airflow. It sounds really bad, and then it gets really tight, and it's very uncomfortable, and it doesn't sound good. The bottom line is, when somebody doesn't sound good when they're speaking, it's usually because of tension. There's a tension pattern somewhere. Maybe the voice is going into the nose. Maybe it's really pointy. Maybe it's really too high. Maybe it's too low. A lot of the problems around voice is because of airflow and tension. Once you figure that out, you can have a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing quality sound for the rest of your life. And here's the interesting thing about that. When you have a beautiful sound, guess what shines? Your message. It's not your voice that's annoying people anymore, or you. It's your message that shines. Everything that I teach with my students in my mentoring programs is just to get your voice out of the way, to get your mindset and your belief and your blockages out of the way, so the voice and the message can shine through, because it's always about the message. It's never about you, and it's never about your voice. You have to get past all of those blockages. So let's go a little bit into the things that you can do around this issue of shaking and getting nervous when you're opening a speech or starting a speech. The very thing that you need to do to prepare is actually way before you get on camera, or way before you walk into that boardroom or give that speech on stage. You're going to actually do some work behind the scenes. So imagine that you have a week to prepare something, or even if you have a day, don't panic. If you have a day, that's perfectly fine too. You're going to do this first. You're going to sit down and you're going to write down all the other times that you have done a great job speaking. This is going to start to imprint in your mind the memory of when you did it right, when you were good, when you were confident. Because here's the thing, what do we normally focus on before a speech? It's like, oh, last time when I did it, my voice was shaking. Oh my God, the 10 times before that, it was just a nightmare. And then this happened and that happened and I forgot what I was going to say. We as human beings always focus on the negative. There's a reason for this. It's because we're wired to focus on the negative. So give yourself a break and realize that this is part of being human. Don't beat yourself up for it. Believe me, I beat myself up for it for years and it didn't help. at all, ever. When I realized that this is a protective mechanism to stop us from being killed or dying, falling in a hole, getting eaten by a tiger, it's a protective mechanism. What else is out there that could hurt me? What else is out there that could hurt me? Am I going to stay alive for another minute, for another hour, for another day? Absolutely, I'm good. Okay, now I can eat, I can sleep, I can drink water, I can make love, I'm safe, right? This is what the body's doing all the time. It's looking for safety. But here's the thing. When you're public speaking, you're safe. There is no tiger. The world is not going to open you up. There's not going to be a tsunami that kills us on the stage at that moment in time. So you have to start planting those seeds of good into your brain as fast as you can. It is super important. I'm talking about mental rehearsal. Even if you have a day, an hour before you go on stage or on camera, you have time. I want you to write down quickly at least 5 or 6 times that you felt good about speaking up and out for yourself. Then you're going to sit quietly with headphones on, preferably with binaural beats in your ears to help your brain slow down and calm down. And then you're going to sit there quietly and you're going to go back into your memory of the time that you felt good, of the time that you felt confident. And I don't care if it's playing with your 5-year-old on the floor for 5 minutes and it made you feel good. If you stood up at school and did an introduction to something, or sang the national anthem, whatever it is, there's times in your life that you felt good. Guaranteed. Not all of us have bad experiences from the minute that we're born until you're 30, 40, 50, whatever it is now. Every single thing that's happened that's good, write it down and go into that place. The mind, the brain, does not know the difference between mental rehearsal of actually seeing and feeling something happening in our brain, in our mind, and the actual real thing. It knows no difference. The more you mentally rehearse your speech, your next speech, or your next presentation, the better it's going to be. Guaranteed. Oh my God. I'll tell you something really, really interesting in a sec. Comments. Great advice. Yes. Thank you. I'm not sure who you are. When you're actually commenting inside Facebook or in YouTube, if you allow StreamYard to see your comments, I'm sure there's a little link underneath the post. You allow StreamYard to see your comments, then it gives me your name and I can actually call you out by name and say hi and then know who you are, because that would be awesome to know who I'm talking to. So we're looking at breathing, shaking, voice control. Now, let me give you an example when I learned this for the first time. I didn't know all this for the first 20 years of my career. Oh my God, I wish somebody had told me. Anyway, I was on a cruise ship singing and I wanted to put a brand new show together and I was really, really nervous about this brand new show. It was songs that I knew. I'd tested out as a lounge singer. I knew they worked, but the show was a whole cabaret show for 60 minutes with no notes, of course, just live cabaret, walking around the stage, interacting with the audience, that sort of thing. 60 minutes, me, Elisa James, live on a cruise ship in front of thousands of people in the main theatre. It was quite daunting and a big step forward for me into cabaret. So I did 5 months of preparation, 5 months. I wrote out a big chart, learned everything. I put the flow together, had all these amazing stories that I told. So what I did is the week before the show, twice a day, I had my chart in front of me and I put my headphones on and I sat on the deck and I meditated. And I went through with the notes in front of me so I could learn my flow of the show. I went through a mental rehearsal in a meditation position with deep breathing, calm and relaxing music and binaural beats in my ears. I went through the show step by step, song by song, story by story, introduction right through to the outroduction. It's called intro and outro in music. Every single day. I did at least an hour of rehearsal, maybe 45 minutes, because that's how long my show was. If I was going to do it real time as though I was there, I had to make it live, right? I even rehearsed what I would wear, how my makeup and my hair would be. And I even rehearsed, get this, I rehearsed a standing ovation at the end, and everybody happy and smiling and having a good time. And then I rehearsed in my mind, my reward would be a cosmopolitan, or maybe I think it was actually a French martini. On the ships, I loved a French martini. I have no idea what's in it. It is so good. Oh my God. So when I did a good job, I would walk over to the bar and order myself a French martini and sit outside on the deck and go, yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank the universe for allowing me to share my gifts and talents with the audience, and they had a good time. I rehearsed this in detail for a week. Guess what happened? It was incredible. The exact same scenario happened. It was captured on camera. It's live on one of my YouTube channels somewhere. It's captured. I got a standing ovation. I walked to the bar and got my French martini. And that was the moment that I realized how important preparation is. Mental rehearsal. Change the neuroplasticity of your brain. Change the neural wiring and the connection of your brain. All of us can do that. It is free. It is free to everybody, and you can do it just like I do it. You can do it every day for any situation in your life, regardless of what the situation is. I use it for public speaking and performance because that's where my nerves were around speaking up and being heard. So these are the two most important things that you can do, is learn how to get rid of those tension patterns and then do the mental rehearsal of preparation. Now, let's go into some tangible things of what you can do inside the actual preparation to make sure it goes well. One of the other questions that Amy wanted to ask me today live on camera is, how do I make the presentation more engaging once I'm inside the presentation? And here's the thing. If you've done what I've just told you, your mental rehearsal, grounded the breath, let go of the tension in the throat, let go of the tension in the stomach, you are fully stepping into the highest and best version of you as a human being, you're going to stand on that stage and you're going to smash it because you have no fear. You have only service and love in your heart and gratitude. When you present from those places, guaranteed you will be engaging because you've lost all inhibitions. You become like that 5-year-old child singing and dancing in the rain and having fun and not judging yourself for doing that. I remember when I finally stepped into that place after I'd done all this personal growth work for 20 years and I'd sung around the world for 20 years. I had so much experience and I put it all together and I did this amazing presentation when I first came back to Australia after living overseas for many years. I was on stage doing my thing and teaching and engaging and all that in a workshop. And one of the people in the front row said, "Elisa, you're having far too much fun up there." And I thought, wow, this is what it feels like to be authentic. This is what it feels like to be truly me, to be able to have fun again, to stop taking life so seriously. It was such a life lesson. I implore you to do the same. If you are arrested with nerves and anxiety and PTSD and trauma, it can be fixed. Don't think that you have to stay there. It's not the truth. It's not reality. It's really not. If people have proved this time and time again, there is always a way out. Always. I really didn't think that there was 25 years ago, 30 years ago when I was going through all this. I wanted to end my life because I was in such a bad place. But now I realize that we have far more control than we think. You really do. So I hope this has inspired you today. Let's go over to the comments just quickly. Yay! Great tips. You're very, very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. So LP also has a question. How do you keep going after the 50th rehearsal? Okay. Well, I don't think you need 50 rehearsals before anything like that. If you need 50 rehearsals, it means that the skill set is not quite there, or the skill set in public speaking is not quite there, or then the mental rehearsal is not right. So I'm not quite sure what you mean after the 50th rehearsal. So when I was doing this show, just to give you some clarification around that, I knew that I had the show in 7 days. I did the mental rehearsal. Of course, I'd rehearsed my show hundreds of times physically. I knew how to sing the songs. I'd practiced them on stage in other smaller performances, and I'd also practiced them in my cabin, of course, hundreds of times. Now, when you think, here's a tip. When you think you know something, you probably don't know it as well as you think. Here's a really, really, really good tip, and I want you to write it down if you can find a piece of paper and a pen or put it on your phone. The difference between an amateur and a professional is this. An amateur learns something until they get it right. Right? You might think that's a good thing. No, listen to the other one. An amateur learns something until they can get it right. But a professional learns something so well that they cannot possibly get it wrong. There's a huge difference. It's like when you see karaoke and somebody walks in a karaoke and they've got one song, To Dream, the Impossible Dream, whatever it is, right? They've gotten really good at that song. Why? Because they've sung it hundreds of times. It's their star song. It makes them the king of karaoke. And every time they sing it, they get a standing ovation. They feel good about themselves. It's one song. Now, if you put that person in a professional setting and suddenly they have to do 4 sets or 2 sets, 15 songs per set, or a whole cabaret show of 10 or 12 or 15 songs and stories and hold people's attention for an hour, whole different ball game. Amateur, professional. Which one do you want to be? I was always in the professional basket because that was my goal. I always wanted to be a professional singer, actor, and speaker, and that's what I did. And I did it because I had persistence and determination and focus and vision. That's all. Not because I'm talented. Talent is this much. And perspiration and inspiration is this much. It's 99% persistence, determination, focus. Just show up, show up, show up, show up. LP, you will get better. You're doing all the right things. You're coming to classes. You're joining one of my mentoring programs. You're doing all the right things. You won't have to rehearse 50 times anymore. You really won't. When I speak nowadays, of course, I have my preparation. I know vaguely what I'm going to say. I have my structure, and then I just go with the flow. And I do that because I know I can serve people better from that place of confidence and conviction than I would if I just read out a script. It's so much more powerful because then the best of you comes out. I hope that's been helpful today. Last chance for questions. Pop them in the chat. LP, it's been great to have you here. Thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to helping you with your videos moving forward and having you in the mentoring program. It's going to be awesome. And Beck, I hope you join us too because the 12-week program is absolutely phenomenal. People don't even recognize themselves after they've finished 12 weeks of training. But it takes a little bravery to step into it and say, yes, I'm ready. I'm going to step up. I'm ready to be visible. I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to be heard. I'm ready to leave my mark on the world. Because my goal as your voice coach, anyone's voice coach, is to make sure that we can leave the world a better place because of the messages that we share with the world. And the more people that I help, the more people are getting out there and sharing their message. And everybody's here for a reason. All of us. We have a vision, we have a desire in our heart, and we're here for a reason. Figure that purpose out. It is so important. That purpose will give you passion. It'll get you out of bed every single morning and in that world serving people. That's what we're here. We're here to make the world a better place and to help each other along the way. Lift as we climb. So thank you so much for your love and your attention today, and thank you for joining us. I implore you to go out and change your life and speak up and speak out for yourself with confidence. Your life will change amazingly. You'll be super incredibly amazed at what can happen when you start to work on that. Thank you so much. LP says, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. And Chris, yay. I have a structure and bullets. Yes, only the first and the last sentence I learned. Brilliant. Chris, that is absolutely the way to go. You open your presentation with an intro that's been rehearsed, and you close with an outro that's been rehearsed. Everything in the middle can be in a very loose structure with bullet points. Absolutely perfect structure. There is no better. Then you know where you're going to go and what the transitions are going to be to get you to the end. Brilliant. I love it. So thank you guys. You're watching this on the Voice of Confidence TV. Remember, if you're watching this on replay, just put #replay and then pop your comments and your questions below. Every single Wednesday, I answer questions live on this channel. Now, if you're brave, put your hand up. I will coach you live on air. That way you will help so many more people. Honestly, let's do this together and lift the world as we climb. I'll see you next time. Have a great week, guys. Bye.